What's up, Glory Gang? Glory Gang, what's up? I'm so happy to be here as always. I'm happy to be here twice live in 1 week. I guess we got some things to talk about. I'm excited. I've been really excited to do this with y'all. So let me know in the chat right now where you guys are tuning in from. Y'all know the deal. I'm from Houston, Texas, and I am in Houston, Texas. That's where I'm tuning in live from. I want to know where you guys are. Where are you guys tuning in from? So we can show that the Glory Gang, the Glory family, we're worldwide. Last week we had somebody tuning in from Ghana. We always have someone from Canada. We always have someone from South America. We always have someone from South Africa. Let me know where you guys are from. I want to know how spread out the Glory Gang is. I'm excited. I'm excited to be here. We got some things to talk about tonight. This is a late night live. I want to see how you guys like this. For me, I'm on, CST. I'm on Chicago, Houston time. So for me, it is 7 o'clock, almost on the dot. It's 7:04 where I am. Where I don't know where you guys are. If y'all on the East Coast, it's 8 o'clock. So let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat if this is just too late for you guys. I know we do our Tuesday morning lives around 11:30 to 11:45. Let me know which one of these works. I mean, it's either one or the other, or it is both. If you like tuning in live to both, the morning and to this night live on a Thursday, maybe sometimes on a Friday, let me know and we will keep these going. We'll keep these popping. I'm just trying to get a few things together here. I see a few comments. We got Baltimore. We got Austin. We got what's happening, gang. David cousin. I feel like David, my actual cousin, because he, how he just addressed the whole situation. Do I know you, David? Do I know you? So yeah, drop in the chat where you guys are from. I'm gonna let a few more people come in. How was y'all's day? Did y'all have a good day today? Did y'all have a good day today? I had a pretty solid day. I spent the entire day with my daughter. Um, Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. This your first time tuning in. All right. We got a first timer. Let's go. Let's go. I'm excited about that. Look, we're talking about the art world. You know what Dear Glory is all about. Dear Glory is 100% and totally about talking about the nuances of the art world, breaking them down and how that makes sense and could make sense for you guys. So whether we're talking about the news, things that are more recent, talking about some things that I ran across on Instagram that I think that you guys should know, some things that I ran across on TikTok, a conversation that I was in, a conversation that I had been having, that I want to bring to you guys. I just want to practice doing more things in real time without pre-recorded video so I can actually see what you guys are saying, actually get into what your opinions are, and so we can have some dialogue. So these Thursday night lives, I'm going to try to keep these consistent along with my Tuesday morning lives. I do have to get off all the time. This will never change. I'll always have to jump off at 8 p.m. Why is that? That's because my Patreon, you guys know about the Glory Collective on Patreon, right? Y'all know about the Glory Collective on Patreon, right? I mean, I talk about it in all of my videos. The Glory Collective on Patreon is the membership where we actually have a Zoom meeting every single week, and it's every single Thursday at 8 p.m. Central. And we talk about a strategy that I think is really important for artists, or maybe that Zoom is geared towards collectors that week, but this week is geared towards artists. And in that Zoom, we talk about one strategy in relation to, if you're on the Zoom, in relation to your actual practice. So that Zoom is a smaller group. You can actually use your voice. It's not just the chat. Like, we're actually talking back and forth about your strategy, about some things that you're being challenged with, and alongside you are other artists that you can get to know, that you can learn from their challenges, et cetera, et cetera. So at 8 o'clock, I do that. So we do have to get off at 8. So we'll be here for about an hour. We got somebody from London. We're around the world. Baltimore, Austin. I'm in Houston. Y'all are in London. So first thing I wanted to talk about today, that's not it. I do want to get into this, but that's a little bit heavier. I wanted to talk about this post that I ran across on Instagram. And y'all let me know if you guys seen this, if y'all seen this post. But I ran across this post on Instagram, and the entire post is about why openings don't sell out. So let me know in the chat if you're an artist. Let me know if you're a collector, because I want to know who I'm talking to. it'll kind of guide my conversation in one way or the other. But for now, I'll just keep it kind of general and talk to everyone. Why openings are not selling out. And, I think that this is a really, really, really important conversation, especially for people who are like independent artists and you might be doing your own exhibition or you might be interested in doing your own exhibition, but you're kind of nervous. Well, the most amount of exhibitions that I've put on have been independent and in congruence with an artist, like working directly with an artist and with no gallery backing. Of course, I do have exhibitions that I have partnered with galleries or with the artists that I'm working with that we've partnered with the gallery and we've sat alongside them and been strategic about like how to approach the exhibition, collection management. And when I say collection management, I guess I mean, those are the wrong words, but what I mean is how to manage the relationships with the collectors, collector education, et cetera, et cetera. But when you're doing it by yourself and you don't have that gallery backing, you're missing a really huge load of help. And you're missing a really huge load of what would be, one of the entire points of working with a gallery is for their collector base, right? It's for their client base, however you want to say it. And when you're doing it alone, you damn sure better have your own. You better have your own collector base. But, and that's in regards to selling out. Like, selling out is not the only way that an exhibition can be successful. Now, I do believe, look, exhibitions cost money. So you do, at some point, want to see, like, a return on your investment. And you can, within your own right, say, well, what is the return on my investment? Is the return on my investment financial? Is the return on my investment these people that I just met, these relationships that I'm able to build right now? What is your return on investment? In regards to this post, we talking about money. The return on your investment in this situation is, we're talking about, did the show sell out, right? Did the show sell out? And in particular, they're talking about why the show does not or may not be selling out, why openings don't sell out. So I want to kind of go on to this next little section. Let me check the chat really quick. We got somebody from New York. We got Philly in the chat, London in the chat, Austin in the chat, Houston in the chat. We have New York in the chat. We have Austin in the chat. We're all over the place, right? Like that's so cool. I appreciate y'all for being here so much, from Austin to Baltimore, to Philly to Houston. I'm here in Houston too. We got LA in the chat. Yeah, we everywhere. So anyway, so this post, if y'all just tuning in, also, I want to say, look, if y'all are just tuning in, make sure you press that like button. It is the most important thing in the world that you press the like button. And not to be dramatic, but it is the most important thing in the world that you press the like button, because that is a signal to YouTube and YouTube's algorithm to say, let me spread this video out and get it to the right people. And so that way more people can join our conversation. We got Los Angeles in the chat. We got Chicago, Southside in the chat. Yes, I love that. I'm so excited about, you guys are all over the place. LA, Austin, who else do we have? We got, sorry, how you doing? From Patreon. Make sure you're ready to get on this Patreon Zoom at 8 o'clock. We both need to be jumping off of this live and into the Zoom at 8 o'clock. We got Baltimore, Austin, Philly, New York, LA, Las Vegas, Chicago, California, everywhere. That's amazing. That's beautiful. Make sure y'all press that like button. Press the like button. Like the video. It does so much. So this post in particular is talking about why openings don't sell out. And it says it's a reflection on a market built on moments and now operating on flows. So I'm going to read this to you guys. It says, for artists, especially those early in their careers, the opening still carries emotional weight. It is a moment of visibility, vulnerability, and validation. I don't want to read the entire thing. I want to break it down paragraph by paragraph. So then it goes, when a room is full, but sales are slow, the silence can feel personal. Let me know if that's been like your situation. If you've ever been in a situation to where you are putting on an exhibition, if you're an artist or even if you're a collector, you've gone to an exhibition and it's a ton of people in the room. The artist is being very vulnerable with the work that they're showing. They're being very just like, putting themselves out there. And that's hard to do. Everyone wants to talk to them. Everyone wants to know what is the work about. Everyone wants to tell them congratulations. It's a really vulnerable moment. It's a moment where you have to be so front, so center. There's a lot of visibility if you have a large crowd. And what you're hoping for, again, is what they're saying. You're hoping for that validation. And that room could be filled all the way, corner to corner, but there may not be any sales. One thing that I say all the time, especially on this level, on the level of what they're talking about, like opening night for a lot of artists, especially artists that are not backed by galleries that have what it takes to sell that exhibition out before the show opens. And I want to say that is one of the most important things in the world to do, is to sell the show out before it opens. So when you go into the show, when you go into the exhibition, you don't have that stress of selling the show out, or at least sell 40 to 60 to 70% of the exhibition, so that it kind of creates that urgency for that opening night. And that's, I'm giving y'all my game. It's what I do. It's what a lot of people do. It's sell most of the show out before, and we could talk about how to do that. And I know I'm just kind of giving like a blanket statement on this is what I do, and I'm not telling you guys how I do it. But when you go into these exhibitions, if you don't prepare, if you don't do that quiet marketing and those relationship building tactics way before it's time for the show, you are going to get into that room and sales are probably going to be slow, and things are probably not going to go. And what does that feel like for an artist? And that's something that I see it way more times than I don't see it. I'm gonna check the chat real quick and see what you guys are talking about. Okay, we have people in you are an artist. You got Compton in the building. You said you I'm gonna say Compton. You calling it Bompton. But yeah, so anyway, that's the breakdown of what that is. But the next generation of artists is also more market aware. Many understand that attention does not equal acquisition, and that momentum now unfolds across longer arcs. And I thought about this the first time I read it, and I said, you know what, let me just actually unpack this while I'm on the live. Let me not think about it too much. Let me just be authentic in my thoughts in a real moment, so you guys and we can share like real, authentic, in the moment thoughts. And so, but the next generation of artists is also more market aware. That's true. Now, do I think that's true? I think that's true because there's more education floating around the internet, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, wherever you are. There's a lot more market information and a lot more opportunities for an artist to educate themselves. And then it goes on to say, many understand that attention does not equal acquisition. So, just in my time, I've seen so many people have these shows, pack them out, not sell them out, pack them out, not sell them out. Okay. That's an issue. You're packing something out and you're not selling out. And to have that understanding that attention does not mean acquisition. Now, I wish they would have worded this a little bit different, because I would not say this. I wouldn't say attention does not equal acquisition. I would say the wrong attention does not equal acquisition. The right attention absolutely equals acquisition. If you have the right attention on your work, that absolutely will equal acquisition. And even to go a little bit further into that, the right attention paired with massaging relationships. So once you know who your audience is, or let's not say audience, once you know who your community is, right? If they are thinking about collecting your work, if they've been to your studio and they've come to other shows and you've met them here and you met them there, maybe even went to dinner with 10 people, right? Like at that point, you're building relationships. You have the attention of those people. Those are people that you have attention of, right? And so if you have the attention of the right people and you build relationship with the right people with that attention, through that attention, et cetera, you can have the attention of 15 people and those 15 people are going to sell your work. Or you could have the attention of 100 people that you haven't built relationship with, that have, they've never seen your work. If you think about marketing, and I think it's important even in the art space to think about marketing. Well, before we had all of these visual apps and all of these apps that tell us, what to look at, who to look at. It's just so many things to look at. Before we had that, we had television. And so in that time, it was, you see something 7 times And after the seventh time, you make a decision whether you want it or not. Now, in the time that we're in now, that marketing rule has bumped up to like 13 to 15. So you and I as consumers, you and I as collectors, you and I that see things, we have to see those things 13 to 15 times. It used to be 7 times, but now we have to see those things 13 to 15 times. So if you're connecting with the collector, right, and you're building a relationship based on, your actual artwork, you want to engage with them 15 times. And I'm not saying that you have to do that all the time, but you want to engage with them. You want that attention to be garnered. You want that attention to be massaged in a very genuine way, so that when it comes to your exhibition, they're ready. They're ready to collect. Okay, we got somebody with a question. Thank you so much for the super chat. When y'all send the super chats, it lights them up in a highlighted color. And I have been seeing chats coming through, but I can't catch them all at the same time. But when y'all send the super chats along with your question, it allows me to see it quite really easily. So Boss Mac Topsoil has a question. Wish I could put it on the screen. I still can't figure that out. His question is, I'm assuming it's a man because Boss Mac, I don't know. I'm assuming the question is a guy, but the question is, the LA art show just came through. Yeah, okay, we know about that. The LA art show just came through here. What does it take to be an artist featured in an event like that? You know what? I haven't really dug into like the LA art show much, but if it's anything like everything that I know of, I'm sure there is an application process. If there's not an application process, it is a chance that it is curated. So there are fairs that are curated, and then there are fairs that are application based, right? And so the LA art show is probably one or the other. Either it's curated, which means there probably was no chance. They were very careful about who they were going to put into the LA art show. And they made the curators that were selected to be the curators of this year's LA art show. They went out and made decisions, right? Like they went out and massaged their own relationships to try to get people to say yes to be in the show. So if the LA art show, which I don't know their structure, but if the LA art show is curatorial, it comes from like the perspective of being curated, then they made those decisions. If it's application based, and there are things that you have to actually meet to be able to apply. Not sure what that is, but I'll look into it and I'll come back on the live another day with that. But it's either one or the other. Let me know if I answered your question. Yeah, so let's keep going. But the next generation of artists, we already got to that part. The danger lies in misaligned expectations. When artists are taught explicitly that a successful opening should translate into immediate sales, they are being prepared for disappointment. The healthier model is one where the opening is understood as a chapter and not a verdict. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like that advice. I can see where they're getting that from. I get it. I understand where they're getting that from. I get it. And I do understand it being a chapter and not a verdict. I think let me take a step back. I don't not like that advice. I'm okay with that advice as I read it again. Not a chapter, but a verdict. No, it is a chapter, not a verdict. Okay, we got it. Because this. Sometimes people aren't ready to receive your work. But I think that goes back to this whole marketing thing that we were just talking about, right? Like if you market the work in a way that allows people the time and the space to get to know the work, to get to know the artist, and you allow the artist, or the artist is standing out amongst all the noise, if there are really great marketing tactics aligned with the artist, that will allow time, space, education, everything that is needed for that show to have some type of success. There are many reasons why a show might not be successful. There are so many reasons why you got to think about the variables it takes for someone to collect an artwork. They have to like it. That's the first thing, right? You have to get their attention in liking it. They have to like it. After they like it, they might want to dig into it, understand the artist a little bit more, understand the perspective, understand where this work fits into context, understand your CV, where have you been, where are you going. That's another variable that might make them say yay or nay. So we have liking the work, then we have contextualizing and understanding the artist plus the artist's perspective, and then they might say, I really like this. Let me I don't know if I have anywhere to put it. So then there's the variable of where do I put this? I really like it. I really want to take it home. I don't have anywhere to put it. And then there's like the money, right? I mean, is it within their art budget? And I want you guys to understand that, like, I've made budgets and I do make budgets. I help collectors make budgets. A lot of times in those budgets, if they're being really careful, really strategic and really smart about their budget, someone can have a $200,000 budget and say, well, this year I'm only going to spend $10,000 on an emerging artist. They might have done that in January. You get to December and they're like, I don't have I don't have the money for it, because they know that they want to go to Basel, or it might be September. They know that they want to go to Armory, so they're going to save their budget for that big moment, right? There's so many factors and so many variables as to why someone may not be collecting from you at the time. So even understanding the calendar and understanding where you could fit and where your show might fit in the calendar could affect your sales. I mean, there's so many different variables that could affect, like, especially as an independent artist, if you are making a sale. Now, it doesn't always have to be that difficult and that thought out and, all of those different things. But 100%, there are many different variables that play into whether your exhibition is going to be a sellout or it's not. Now, if your show doesn't sell out, it's not a verdict on your career. I do agree with that. It's not a verdict on your career. It's a moment and it's a time for you to take a look at what you did right, what could have been done better, and get prepared for the next time. Let me check out the chat and see what you guys are talking about. Okay, nighttime live. Right? And you know what else I have, y'all? I have like a big old glass of wine. Like, who am I? Right? I mean, I don't even listen, okay? Y'all can even grab your wine, whatever drink that you guys, are having, because we're having some conversations. So I think, can we move on? Is that enough? Is that enough of the openings? Do y'all have any questions on that? Do y'all want to talk a little bit more about that? What are y'all feeling? Tell me in the chat. Let me know in the chat if y'all need a little bit more. If y'all have questions, you want to dig a little bit deeper into the openings, why openings are not selling out. And I focused on independent artists in that. And sometimes that's a gallery show. You could have a gallery show and it didn't sell out, but I think the same things apply. When I see gallery shows that I've been close to don't sell out or don't have many sales, I mean, either one or two things happen. The gallery really didn't spend time educating the collector, or the artist totally went in a direction where their audience was like, I don't know where this artist is going. So, there's so many different factors. As an artist, you kind of want to make sure that you're going in a direction and you're staying in a direction that is congruent to where you have been. One of the things that I've been really focused on when working with artists lately is, hey, once you find that actual question that is the question, the through line in your work, right? Like, you should be investigating the same question and then going deeper into that question. If your question is, if you think about how urban communities interact in the city that you live in, that's your simple question of how do the urban communities in Houston, Texas affect the growth of the city? I don't know. That could be your underlying question within your work. You have to figure out how to have a visual through line that says that. You have to figure out how to have a visual through line, how to have a visual that, how the way that you approach your work with says that in the through line. So you have to approach your work the same way every single time. I'm not saying every piece has to look the same, work the same, but you have to approach it the same way, right? It has to feel the same. In the way that you would think about a brand. And the art world doesn't like the word brand at all. But when there's similarities in your work, if we take a look at like Titus Kapoor, right? Like, we never had a chance to talk about him. But let's see, if we actually look at his work, let's look at his Instagram. I think let's not look at the Instagram and let's Google. I feel like this is about to be a really not great example. Because his work seems like it's changing a little bit. But you see how within his work, like typically, I don't know what this is. It must be this. Yeah, it seems like his work is changing. This is a crazy different direction. But typically, like what you would see are these cutouts, like that you see here. And so you know, if I'm in Atlanta, if I'm in Philly, if I'm in New York, wherever I am, if I see this, like this cutout, I know who it is. I know exactly who it is. If I see this cutout, I know who it is. And then you might take a look at works like this and you don't know who it is. And I wonder if those have been a little bit more difficult to be placed into collections, right? And so, anyway, you want to have some type of through line to where your work reads the exact same way, but it's saying something different, if that makes any sense. Um, yeah, so I wanted to talk about this because last week um, we talked about how Larry Osei Mensa, he thought that going forward we would have artists that actually focused on all senses, that whether that was sound, color, space, smell, whatever, right? If you guys were here on Tuesday's live, you remember this conversation. And so when I ran across this the next day of Jeffrey Gibson and his work, and he talks about how he wants his work to be an experience going further, right? And when I seen this, I thought this was really interesting, the way that he's approaching his work as in building worlds. And more and more and more, I'm seeing artists pair with galleries, pair with museums, pair with institutions to build these worlds instead of these works that just live on canvas and then they're just put on the wall. These worlds are starting to be created. These experiences are starting to be created. And when these artists are creating these experiences, it is further leaning into what Larry Osei Mensa said and allowing them to go into different mediums. And I thought that was really important and really timely to see. Let me know what y'all think about that. Like, what do y'all think about Jeffrey Gibson? Do y'all even know who Jeffrey Gibson is? He was picked last year at the Venice Biennale. I think he was like the U.S. I'm trying to remember. I'm so sorry. I don't know, but I think he was the he was the person that represented the U.S. at the Venice Biennale last year, and he was the first person that, if I am not mistaken, was Native American. Hopefully, I'm right. Y'all correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. But when I seen this, I thought it was really interesting that, just based off of what we talked about Tuesday, what Larry Osei Mensa was saying, artists are starting to build and go into all of these different realms and not being afraid to do it. And I think Jeffrey Gibson and what he's doing here with painting, with sculpture, and also here with like this world building and these wall installations, this vinyl on the wall and creating these worlds, I think that's a really, really, really timely conversation to have. Good evening. Good evening, y'all. If y'all just coming into the chat, make sure you guys like the live. Give a like to the live. Liking the live does so very much for this live. It does so much for the live. Something else I wanted to talk about. So I think this plays music. Okay, it doesn't play music, so I'm gonna let us take a listen to it. I can't play anything with music because it'll get copywritten on my page.
Here we have an everyday setting, the barbershop, and it's a place of style, of cool. You see that immediately with the different figures in the painting. They're dressed really sharply. The hairstyles are really interesting. It makes me think of Yoruba sculptures and Yoruba depictions of Itutu, which also means a sort of mystic coolness. The stuttering always makes me think of Do the Right Thing by Spike Lee. And of course, the title of the painting, this style, is a riff on Distill, the Dutch movement, largely associated with Mondrian and his use of colors like blue, red, and yellow. There's a calendar in the corner of the painting, and it's dated April 1991, which would have been a few months after the beating of Rodney King. And so it's really interesting if we think about the fact that Kerry has always moved away from depictions of black suffering to have this calendar to kind of allude to this violent moment in time instead of trying to demonstrate that literally. He chooses to house this painting in a place where people go to remake themselves, people go to style themselves in a fresh kind of way. This work is called.
Okay, I wanted to play that before I played this. We also talked about this artist. What you guys will see, because we're discovering, doing a lot of discovery together, and we're talking about a lot of things in real time, and we're doing it together, you're going to start seeing the through lines that I see. Like, you're going to start seeing what I see. You're going to start understanding why I understand what I understand, and you'll start understanding it right along with me, because on these lives, we're looking at things in real time, and we're able to put things into context in real time. And what you'll start to see happen, if you haven't already started to see this happen, is things that we talked about on Tuesday or things that we talked about 2 weeks ago will pop up again in a different context, and then you and I will be able to put things together in that way. And y'all will be doing that with me in real time. And so it's the most special thing that you guys will see, like how I am actually being able to strategically understand the art world just by paying attention. So you've seen that, and then now look at this. I'm gonna have to press pause so y'all can read it if you want to. I can't play it because it has music in the background. Don't y'all notice? Y'all notice something, right? That's the same painting. The painting was influenced by Kerry James Marshall. He created the painting again in his own right. Y'all see that, right? I wanna kind of just focus a little bit here. You see this, right? You see this painting, right? This barbershop, right? And then you take a look at this and you see it's the same painting, right? It's the same approach. Um, and the reason I wanted to talk about that, I like this guy's work. As you know, I introduced his work to you guys 2 weeks ago, and then I talked about it again like Tuesday. His name is Kato. I like his work. I did not realize that he had taken from Kerry James Marshall. And so what this guy is saying here at Sashi Yates, he's saying, and he's talking about Kato as being in lineage and being in context to Kerry James Marshall. And so there's no dilution there, because this artist in his own right has his own language, and it's a very distinctive language that he has. And the reason I wanted to talk about that is because of the Basquiat conversation. And y'all ever see, like, on Instagram where they talk about, oh, he's a Basquiat clone? Let me know in the chat. Y'all ever see it on Instagram or TikTok, just scrolling on TikTok or Instagram, where there's people that's like, oh, he's a Basquiat clone. He's a Basquiat clone. Well, there's a difference. There's a difference in being a Basquiat clone and doing what this guy is doing. He totally took the entire narrative context that Kerry James Marshall used. I mean, not only did he take the narrative context, he also borrowed, not even really borrowed, but took the entire composition and was inspired from color choices to composition to narrative to setting. He was inspired in all of those different ways, and he recreated this. But it's totally him. If you look at his other work, his work looks like him. It doesn't look like Kerry James Marshall, which allows him the room to take a Kerry James Marshall work and reimagine it. You can only reimagine something if you have your own style. The issue with Basquiat, and y'all let me know what y'all think, the issue with people that have the same and sit within that same context of Basquiat is it's the same style. It's not approached from a different style. And I wanted to say that because I needed to drill that in and drill in on why people that approach their work like Basquiat is not working. It's not working because that's his style that you're taking. It's his style. This guy, Kato, reimagined a Kerry James Marshall work in his own style. You know what I mean? Let me know if you guys understand what I mean when I say that. And I thought it was like really important to bring here to this live and talk a little bit about that. Okay, what y'all talking about in the chat? Someone said, I'll be right back. I have to walk my dog. I love the way you break down the art market. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. It's amazing to see how art inspires art. It is amazing to see how art inspires art. It's so amazing to see how art inspires art, but you can't just like have the same style and copy it. If you know, there's this guy Willie Maxon that I've talked about a few times, and at the beginning of his career, I was like, man, you know, his work is really inspired by Jennifer Packer. I see a lot of Jennifer Packer in his work, but then as time goes on, I see him, and that's the important thing as an artist. You got to find you. You have to find yourself in the work. So there's a video that I was supposed to post before this live went live, and then I had some technical issues, so I wasn't able to post that video. But that video was actually inspired by something that we read. It was inspired by this post, which we've already talked about, why mid-career artists are struggling more than emerging ones. And I actually kind of keyed in on why late emerging artists, the ones that are just close to jumping over to mid-career, why they are also struggling probably more than middle or mid-career. And y'all know what I mean when I say late emerging artists. When I say late emerging artists, I mean like you have been an emerging artist for a while. You have had success, more success than others, but you keep navigating through the same type of ecosystem. You're having shows, you're in group shows, you've had a solo show or two, but you're like working in the same level and you don't have the strategy that it takes to jump. That video is coming out tomorrow. It's supposed to come out today, but it'll be out tomorrow. And so you guys can take a look at that. What do y'all think about this? Did y'all see this? And I'm not going to do too much here because YouTube, it gets a little crazy when you start talking political and you start talking about like Gaza and, you know, all those things. And I don't like to have this as a political channel, even though when there are political things that happen in the art world, we will key in on them and we will talk about them. I'm never going too deep into the politics. I'm not educated enough. I educate myself enough to where I have to, but I don't ever want to think and say the wrong thing when I haven't done adequate research. When it comes to Gaza, I have done a lot of research, and I do have my own opinions. And look, I'm 100% not for what a lot of things are happening going on over there. I just trust that. I don't know if I'm gonna lose you, if I'm gonna keep you, but whatever. Anyway, so there has been an uproar as South Africa cancels artists over artwork referencing Gaza. And you know, another thing, have y'all been in these lives? Because all December, it seems like we were talking about like political things and we were talking about museums and leadership at museums. We even talked about how the Whitney Biennial, how they're not doing things that are reflective of the political times. And so this conversation keeps going up, which should tell you guys how important it is to think about politics in congruence with art and how art influences politics, how politics influence art, right? Let me see what y'all are saying in the chat. I agree, and this same phenomenon reminds me of Kudanzi Valet Huami on her color choices that are similar. Oh, okay. We were going back to Carrie James Marshall and to Basquiat. But anyway, so first of all, what do y'all think about South Africa canceling the artist's artwork that referenced Gaza? What do y'all think about that? What are y'all's thoughts on that? How does that make y'all feel? What does that signal for you? Does it signal the same thing that we've been talking about here on these lives? We've talked about it a few times. We've talked about it quite a few times about how these museums, these institutions, the Biennale as an institution and these other institutions have been, I don't know if the Biennale, let's read it. South Africa has South Africa canceled its highly divisive. Okay, South Africa canceled their submission. I don't even know how to feel about that. They canceled their submission for this year's Venice Biennale because its chosen artists plan to use the exhibition to commemorate the deaths of women and children in Gaza. The shock last-minute decision by South African Culture Minister Gayton McKenzie has raised serious questions, about freedom of expression and left the status of the country's pavilion uncertain. What do y'all think about that? South Africa canceled its submission for this year's Venice Biennale because the artist had planned to use. Now, we don't know what that submission looked like, right? So we're blinded a bit. We don't have all of the information. We don't. Let's keep reading. Gabrielle Goliath was unanimously selected to represent South Africa at the Venice Biennale on December 6th. And I think one of the things we could do is look into her. Let's do it. What time is it? We don't have much time. Let's look into her, okay, a little bit. Let's see if we got her Instagram and she's showing her work. She gives me one of those artists that's not showing her work on her Instagram. Let's see if I'm right. Oh, is it photography? It's giving photography. I don't know who this artist is. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar. I'm not familiar with every single artist. When I'm Googling her name, the only thing that's coming up is this news. Does she have a website? Has she had exhibitions? We got to see the type of work that she does. Because if we see the type of work that she does, here we go. Maybe we'll have some type of understanding. Not understanding on why they canceled it, but like perspective. Not understanding, but we'll have perspective. Beloved, let's see. Yeah, okay. Looks like I don't know. I can't even tell. I mean, I feel like I'm trying to go too quick to understand the type of work that she does. Do y'all know who this artist is? Y'all know what type of work she typically does? She's clearly an important artist. It looks like she has performance art as a part of her practice. Of course, it was really politically charged. Maybe it was gruesome. I wonder if it was gruesome. Beyond all of that, I'm not trying to make an excuse for anything. I just wonder. I wonder, what did it look like? Why did they say no? And did they just say no because it's political, because it's too highly political? She had proposed an updated version of her decade-long, okay, let's keep going. We refused the cancellation, or let's keep going. In a longer open letter to McKinsey dated January 4th, Goliath Masando and their colleague James McDonald described the cancellation as an act of censorship that, if enforced, would enact a grave violation of the right to freedom of expression enshrined in the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa. I guess, maybe one day, it looks like it's all performance-based. So maybe it was really political, and I don't know. I don't have no excuses for them. I'm not even about to sit here and try to figure out, because I don't know what her work looks like. I don't know what the thing could be, but I see that it is an uproar. I've seen this a few times. Let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Why is that Black collectors, galleries, and curators mimic the same dismissive politics as the white art world and institutions while publicly always vocal about inclusion? What do y'all think about that? I wish I could put it on the screen. Let me read it again for y'all. Why is it that Black collectors, galleries, and curators mimic the same dismissive politics? Ooh, that's heavy. As the white art world and institutions while publicly always vocal. Okay. I don't even think we have time for that conversation. Listen. And what I think you're talking about is the same rules apply. Like when you're in a specific art world and it's maybe an art world that's more white centric, you feel excluded because of your Blackness. But when you're in the Black art world, there's exclusion because of your class. Can we dumb that, what you just said, down to what I just said? Am I on the right track? I get what you're saying. I'm just trying to keep it really streamlined. With the gatekeepers of, in the Black art world, there's still artist placements. They're still letting specific people in and not others in. So is it more classism in Black communities and more racism in other communities? And then you go on to say, and how would one carefully navigate those dynamics? You don't want to hear it from me? You don't want to hear it from me? I think every industry has what you're talking about. Do I think it's right? No. I think every single industry has exactly what you're talking about. And I think that it's racism on the one, it's racism and classism on the other side. And on the other side, which could be black and brown people, or maybe just black people specific to what you're talking about, it could be classism. And what do I think about that? Look, every cultural industry, especially in the US, has a level of letting specific people in depending on who you are, especially when it comes to the collector, right? I mean, if you think about every single fair, you're not getting a VIP pass to a fair unless they know who's in your collection or who you are. And how do we look at that? Do we look at that as gatekeeping, or do we look at that as them segmenting their audience? I have a marketing background, so I tend to take a different look at things. It becomes a problem because as they're segmenting their audience, exclusion happens. And not only does the exclusion happen to people that might not have specific artists in their collection, it happens in a racist way. It does. Beyond the collection, right? I mean, but when you look at like something like a fair, just to use them as an example, that fair, when they're segmenting their audience, they are going to think about who they want to be at the VIP events, what they want that to look like, what they want that to feel like, who they want collecting the work. And it's not going to be Joe Schmo that's never collected anything. It's going to be the highest class black people who have the highest class collection in the world that get invited to those events. Do you think that's wrong is the question from a business perspective, right? And when we're trying to bridge and close the gap on exclusion, how do we approach that as a people? I'm asking a question. I'm not answering anything. I'm asking a question. I want to see what you guys think. I've seen some of the most knowledgeable, gifted, and knowledgeable, innovative artists get chewed up by the black class's art infrastructure. You know, and I think I would need to know more of, this would have to be a full-on conversation, you know, we'd have to have a full conversation, not just a few, you know, messages in the chat. But look, classism, racism, it exists in all cultural industries. And I'm not saying that it's right. I'll never say that it's right. It is happening. The gap is closing. And I will tell you from the conversations that I have with other black professionals in this industry, we are actively doing the work to close that gap. Do I still see the classism? Absolutely, I still see it. Absolutely, I still see it. You know, are black people only taking a few? You know, yes. You know, and so there's a lot of work to be done. I don't want to get so much into that. But there's a lot of work to be done, and it's a really difficult topic, and it is something that, you know, keeps coming up, and it's going to keep coming up until it's fixed, I guess. I wanted to play this for you guys, but I can't play it because she has music playing in the background. And do y'all have the definition of, I wanted to just ask y'all, do y'all know the definition of an emerging artist? Can we agree on the definition of an emerging artist? This woman here, she is an art advisor, and she's been an art advisor for a while, and she started her content journey and sharing information. She's someone really good to follow. She gives really great insights, and I like her. And she talks about in this, if you're reading it, but you know, I know you can't hear it because she has music in the background. I can't play it, but she talks about how in 2016, an emerging artist is not the same as an emerging artist in 2026. That's a 10-year gap. And she talks about in 2016, you know, or 17 years ago, whatever she said, as an emerging artist, you definitely wouldn't be caught at a Biennale. But now there's an opportunity for you to do that. And I thought this was a really interesting take, and I agree with her. But when I seen this, I'm like, man, this is 60 seconds of no, and I'm not shading her at all because I like her a lot. But when I seen this, I thought about how, without a longer context, artists could think immediately that that could happen for them. And it can, but it's not likely. What she's talking about, an artist being an emerging artist, having a practice of a 5 year practice and then going into a biennale, a artist having a 5 year practice and then showing at Gagosian, which I've seen before, and I know a guy who's done that. An artist having such a short practice and then having this amass amount of success, she's saying that that can happen, and that couldn't happen 17 years ago when she first started her advisory. And that also kind of aided to like this video that I was editing today that's going to come out tomorrow about like the stages of artists emerging, mid-career, blue chip, established. What do y'all, can we agree on definitions? As artists in the chat, as collectors in the chat, are y'all confused about the definition of emerging artists, of mid-career, of established? Are y'all confused at how do you go from emerging to mid-career? How do you go from mid-career to established? I want to know. Y'all let me know in the chat. Are y'all confused at that? Is there any confusion that lies for you guys with that? Are y'all confused? And I keep seeing these different definitions. For the last 10 years, I've been seeing different definitions of an emerging artist, of an established artist, of a mid-career, especially a mid-career artist. We don't know I mean, especially an emerging artist. I mean, where does it start and where does it end? How do y'all feel about that? Is there any confusion for y'all? Are y'all having trouble navigating what level of artist you are? Let me know. Are y'all having trouble actually navigating that? I don't know. I've been thinking about this. I've actually made multiple different videos trying to break down the different levels of an artist and where an artist lies and how do you go from emerging to mid-career. But what she's talking about is this really amazing jump from emerging almost to established. Yeah, I would say someone in the chat, sick the goat, you back. You back from walking your dog. Yeah, I would say I'm a bit confused. And I would understand, like, yeah, you're a bit confused because there are so many definitions out there. And I thought it would be really good if we could all get on the same page and think about artists being and going from being early emerging to middle emerging to late emerging. And when you get to that stage of late emerging, you on the edge of getting to mid market, to mid or to mid to the mid career, right? I don't know. I mean, it's something I thought about because of what she said. I would urge you guys to follow her. I have to jump off and get into the Zoom. I have a Zoom on my Patreon, y'all. Y'all join the Patreon. Come to the Zoom. Come hang out in the Zoom with us. We will be talking about a really particular strategy today. The strategy that we're going to be talking about in the Zoom is how to talk about your work really quickly. So what does that look like? If you are at an exhibition or if you at someone else's exhibition and someone asks you about the type of work that you do, if you are at a bar and you tell someone you're an artist and they ask about the type of work you do, how do you in 2 seconds or in 10 seconds get them interested in your work? How do you talk about your work? That's the strategy we're talking about today on Patreon right after this live. Y'all, I'll go live. We have a Zoom session in the Patreon every single week talking about strategy and how to apply it. And it's not a chat. It's real. We're really talking to each other. We're really getting to know each other. It's a group of artists. So it's a really good chance for you to sit next to an artist that lives somewhere else, that has a different perspective than you, that has different experiences than you. So join the Patreon. Join the Building Glory tier. So I have 3 different tiers in Patreon. If you want to talk directly with me, to me, about your own career, about your own strategy, join the Building Glory Patreon. If you want a one-on-one session, if you're someone that's been looking for a one-on-one session and you want to strategize we strategize together, just you and I, we cut out all the noise, join the Patreon and join the Mastering Glory tier. That's where you and I can be one-on-one. Remember, the Building Glory tier, we're about to meet right now at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock EST and talk strategy. And if you want one-on-one support, join the Master and Glory. I love y'all. I'll see y'all next time. Thanks for sitting here. Thanks for talking. Thanks for being here. If you have not liked the live yet, if you haven't pressed that thumbs up button, please press that thumbs up button. It's really important for the sustainability of this channel. Look out for the video that's going to go live tomorrow. If y'all want to see the video that went live yesterday about Katia LeMay, check that out. And if you didn't see the live from Tuesday, check that out. If I don't see y'all on the Patreon, I will see y'all next Tuesday live at 11:30 or 11:45. Depends on how the day goes, how the morning goes. I love y'all. Remember always, the glory is in the story. You can't have the glory without the story. Peace.